everyone, and welcome back to another week here at Just Gay Stuff Podcast. My name is Jess.
And I'm Lauren.
And look, we have been super blessed to be back putting people in the hot seat with our interviews
I love it.
lately. It's so much fun.
It's refreshing.
When we haven't done it for a while, I remember like how fun it is to have a guest.
Yeah.
And tonight is no exception to that because we are actually super blessed to have another wonderful guest joining us.
We sure do. And the fun thing is we know this person.
We do, which is a step up because sometimes we're strangers when we begin a conversation and then we become friends by the end. But I think we're starting this one a bit more on friendship level, I hope. So our fabulous guest today, she is going to take us through the chapters of An Extraordinary Life. If you were at Loud Proud Logan Pride last year or you've been to the Wickham recently, you may know the name. Joining us is Rebecca Bateman, but also known as DJ Beksis.
Whoop, whoop. Hi, Beck. Thanks for joining us today.
Hey girls, how are we?
Oh, so good. We're so happy that you're joining us.
I am excited to be here. I really am. This is cool. And I love your name of your show, Just Gay Stuff. It's awesome.
It's really in
Thank
your
you.
face. We just needed something that gave people exactly what it was straight up.
It just was very on brand. We just went, right.
On brand, yeah, because we're queer as fuck.
Yeah.
No one's going to mistake it for a cooking show, that's for sure.
No.
That's true. I
That
mean,
might
I'm
be
sure there'd be a
controversial.
queer cooking show.
We could do it.
Well, you could
We
do it.
could.
I'd clean up the mess. And DJ Beksis could just add the tunes.
Do, 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 do.
Trust me, don't get me to cook.
Oh, you heard it here first, everyone. Now, we
Yeah.
had the pleasure of introducing you for your set at Loud Proud Logan last year, and that's where we met you. And so we're so glad for you
Yes.
to be joining us today and sharing your amazing story.
We sure are.
Well, thank you. It's a long story. I'm very old.
Oh, we love storytelling. That is 100% what this podcast is about, is just amplifying queer voices and having a platform for people to get those stories out there. So that's what we're about. So we're excited to
That's
hear
so
yours
true.
today.
And like speaking of long stories, I guess, you know, we want to start right at the beginning and we want to kind of know everything. So how about you do a little bit of an introduction about yourself and where your queer journey started?
Oh my God. So I will out my age. I'm really old. I was born in November 1967.
Ooh.
That's not that old. I think we've had older on
Yeah.
here.
So I'm 58 this year. I was born in Mordialloc in Victoria, suburb of Melbourne on the Bay.
Oh, Lauren's
That's
from
cool.
Melbourne.
I am from Melbourne. I'm from the dodgy parts of Melbourne though.
She's from Franger.
I was just going to say Frankston. As soon as she said dodgy, I'm like, you from Frankston?
Yeah.
Well, I was on the Frankston line. Mordialoc's on the Frankston line. You'd know that.
Yeah, I do know it, yeah.
And then I lived in Dramanda for a while too, down on the peninsula.
Wow.
The peninsula's nice.
I love the peninsula. I miss Dramanda. It's beautiful. But I live in Surfers Paradise in a high rise with gorgeous views.
Oh,
so
lucky you.
I love
Yeah,
it.
that's beautiful.
I know. I love it here. It's beautiful. So as far as my queer story, it's so delayed because I knew that I was a girl from about the age of 4. I was getting into mum's stuff, but I didn't know what trans was or gender dysphoria or anything. Like I had no idea. Back then there was no internet. There was no Google.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
There was zero trans representation in the media anywhere. The only time you'd see a trans woman would be some guy in a movie dressed up as a woman, and usually they're being made fun of.
Yeah.
So I thought I was pretty much the only one and a freak for a long, long, long time. And I just kept it hidden. I'm like, why do I feel this way? This is wrong. So it was a long, long time before I even discovered what transgender was, like the terminology. And that I wasn't alone. I remember when I was 14, I was a bit of a mischievous kid. I wandered into an adult bookshop
Wow.
and I found some porn basically and that. And I thought, ooh, hang on. This looks like what I feel like, you know? So
Yeah.
that was my first time I really thought I'm not alone. But it was a fetish thing in those books and everything, you know? So
Yeah.
it didn't relate to me. So it wasn't until a little while after Google came out and caught up, because at first it was bugger all on Google.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can't imagine that these days.
No. The kids will never know.
Yeah, when it first came out, there wasn't like an encyclopedia was there like that. So eventually I found out there's transgender people and there's gender dysphoria, and I ticked every box. I read all I could read. I'm like, yep. Without being a psychiatrist, I knew, or psychologist.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is me. That was a weight off my shoulders. But the weird part was I kept it hidden my whole life. I did it well. Pretty well anyway. So by the time I found out what trans was and gender dysphoria, I was married with kids
Yeah.
and I didn't want to risk losing them. So I kept it hidden still.
Yeah.
At least I didn't know I wasn't the only one in this sort of freak. So that was a relief. But it wasn't until I moved to the Gold Coast in 2014, that's when I had to set Beck free.
Yeah.
And I did. I just planned it bit by bit. It was all baby steps. I did it over a period of many years, really. I think it was 2017 that I started hormones. So, it was a good 4 or 3 years before I even started hormones. But I started going out to the clubs in Surface. There was an LGBT club that's not there anymore called Escape Club.
Mm-hmm.
Later changed its name to Rise. So I started going out to that. And that was my first introduction, the first proper introduction, I suppose, to the LGBT community. And I was so nervous. I was at this club by myself in this horrible costume wig with no idea how to do my makeup. I looked so tragic. And there was drag queens there that just embraced me.
That's
They're
amazing.
like, come here,
That's
sweetie.
beautiful.
And they hugged me and they'd buy me a drink and stuff. And they're like, you're gorgeous, darling, And I think they could see how nervous I was, which was a pretty new concept for me because I've always been a super confident person.
Yeah.
So for me, being nervous is it was weird, but I was.
But then that confidence probably came from you've worn the mask for so long. You have that confidence mask as well, right?
Yeah. Look, I've got a fairly extensive background in martial arts.
Oh,
Wow.
okay.
So I've done a couple of different styles. I'm a black belt in one and brown belt black tip in another.
So no
Wow.
one's messing with you.
Well, they wouldn't want to, I suppose. But, so that gave me a lot of confidence. I always credit my confidence that I had from martial arts.
Yeah.
And that in turn from DJing gave me a lot of confidence as well.
Yeah, wow.
So yeah, my queer journey started late, I suppose, really.
Yeah.
Like I knew from a young age, but it didn't start till late.
But you didn't have the representation, you
As you
said.
said, yeah.
So, it's, as you were telling the story, the sad part is the only kind of representation that you found was in an adult shop in porn, essentially.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
That was my first taste of it.
Yeah.
And so what was it like to make that decision to finally let Beck out to the world?
Look, it was nerve-wracking. And so many trans people say it's not a choice, and it's not. It's just something that I knew I had to do.
Yeah.
I'd lived this life most of my life. Like I was 49, I was near on 50 when I started to transition or start on hormones. But even those baby steps before then, I didn't want to risk losing my kids. I didn't think I would. I've got 2 sons, Matt and Zach. But that was my biggest fear because if they didn't accept me and love me, I would have been another one of those statistics, and I know that.
Yeah. Wow.
I've always been super close to my sons. Incredibly close. The relationship we have is incredible. I didn't think I'd lose them, and thankfully I didn't.
Oh, that's so good.
My eldest son was living with me at the time, and he is again now, but he struggled with it the most because we were so close, and obviously the father-son dynamic was going to change, and it did to a degree. I tried to keep it as original as it was, I suppose. The funny part was when I started transitioning, I did the opposite to what most, not all, but most do. Most will go to work as their former self and then at home, their true self. I started going to work as Rebecca.
Yeah.
And then when I came home, I would have to change and be the boy me.
Yeah.
Because my son just wasn't ready to see it. He was never transphobic or anything. He just wasn't ready. And it was, to be honest, the hardest period of my life for both of us, because I'd go out and I used alcohol as a crutch, to be honest. I'd go and have a few drinks, and then on my way home, I'm like, I'm not ready to get changed, to take off my makeup and take off this dress, because I was on a high. I was being who I truly was on the inside, and I knew I was forever out in public, and it was an absolute high for me. So then on the way home, I'd stop at BWS and grab a bottle of wine, and I would just sit on my balcony and drink that, because I'd ring my son and say, I'm coming in the door. He'd go in his room. I'd go in my room, and then he'd come out.
Yeah.
So he wouldn't see me. He knew what I was doing and how I'd be dressed, but he just wasn't ready to see me. Then he'd be knocking on my door and he's like, Dad, are you coming out? I'm like, no, not yet. And he'd hear me crying I'd be crying on the balcony, he'd hear me. And then he felt bad because he could hear the pain he was putting me through.
Yeah.
So it was a very emotional and hard period. With my youngest son, he wasn't living up here then, he is now. And when I told him that I was trans, his exact words to me, were, I don't give a fuck as long as you're happy.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
That is so beautiful.
Which is the perfect response.
Yeah.
That's all you want. He's like, I don't give a fuck as long as you're happy, Dad. I don't care. Both my sons still call me Dad, which I've said I'm okay with because I'm their dad, and I know for some trans women, they like to be called mum as well or something like that. But I'm their dad. I'm cool with it. In public, they'll call me Beck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool in a way.
Yeah, that is actually
Yeah.
kind of cool.
Well,
Jess calls her mum Robbie.
Yeah, I call my mum by her first name. And I think
Yeah.
it just came from the fact that all my friends called her by this nickname. And then, you know,
It stuck.
we'd be at the shops and I'm like, Mum, and she's not responding. So I just started calling her by the nickname. Suddenly there's a response. And then that's just how
Yeah.
it was.
It's like, well, that works.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. I want attention. Give it to me. I'll just, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, look, that was a real struggle. And then obviously he ended up coming around and, you know, seeing me more as Rebecca. And now, like, yeah, for a long time now, it's my everyday.
Yeah.
I can't remember the last time I dressed as my old self. It was when Frozen 2 was out.
That's a long time ago
Would've been
now.
Just before, just before that. Because back then I was only dressing when I saw my granddaughters.
Yeah.
So the mother of my grandchildren weren't ready for it yet. And again, she wasn't transphobic or anything, just didn't know how to bring it up with the two young girls.
Yeah.
And it was sort of my idea. I'd said, oh, look, Frozen 2's coming out. I'd love to take them to see it. And I could go dressed as Elsa.
Yeah.
Oh, that's perfect.
And I said, that way it's a costume and it's not so bad. And she's like, oh, yeah, that's a good idea. That sounds good. So I did. It was one of the greatest days of my life.
Wow.
And whatever time it was before that I saw my granddaughters, that was the last time I ever dressed as a boy.
Wow.
That's so beautiful.
Because after that, the next time I saw him, I actually picked up my older son from the airport. He'd missed his nieces and wanted to go straight away to see them. And I picked him up wearing a dress. I don't think I'd even had makeup on, or very little. And then I rang the girl's mum on the phone. I said, look, Matt really wants to see the girls. I'm heading straight there, but I'm wearing a dress. So it's up to you. If you want, I can just sit out in the car. Matt will say a quick hello to him and I'll wait. Or I can come in. I said, but it's up to you because this isn't a costume this time, you know?
Yeah.
And she was like, oh, no, that's okay. Come in.
Oh.
And
So I
how
was like,
was
yes. Yeah, it was incredible. It was great. Yeah. That was the end of the old boy me. That was it.
that? Wow.
Like, he was gone.
And how did like the kids accept you? Because, you know, I feel like society's all like, we need to save the children. And I'm of the view that kids are more understanding than we give them credit for.
Yeah.
And they care less than we give them credit for. So what was your experience with that?
That's the thing. They didn't care.
Yeah.
They didn't bat an eyelid. They're like, oh, Pa's a girl now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See how simple it is? Like,
You know,
It's
they
not
call me
hard.
Pa.
yeah.
Sometimes they call me Trans Pa.
That's kind of cool.
They don't care.
Mm.
Well, coming up this year, they'll be 8 and 10.
Wow.
And they've known me as Beck for most of their lives now. So they're fine with it.
I just think like how good is their generation going to be and the acceptance that they're going to like bring to their people as they get older because they know a
Yeah.
trans person in their life. They're going to be those people that are the anchor for someone else, which I think is so lovely.
That's one thing I told their mum and dad, like my son and his partner. I'm like, to have somebody that's LGBT in your life is a blessing
Absolutely.
because it teaches them acceptance and they can see it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You know, and they can see that we're not crazy and stuff like that.
Mhm.
So I said to them, I said, it's a blessing. I haven't really gone to their school or much or anything. And I'd hope that if I did that they would get teased, you know, about their pa or something. But I haven't heard anything that they have or anything like that. So no, they're fine.
That's so awesome.
Absolutely fine. They don't care, which is great.
No, I think like we've said, kids are more accepting and hate is taught. So,
Yeah.
you know.
Exactly.
If they were going to get bullied by other kids, it's more the parents that are having the problem, not the kids.
Yeah.
We all know that.
100%.
Yeah.
Kids these days are just more accepting of that. So if they got bullied over me, I think they're friends and most of them would say, well, no,
Yeah.
like
Mhm.
you're just being a bully.
Yeah.
Look, I was lucky with my transition. I lost a couple of good friends, a few not so good friends, I suppose, and my brother. I've got one sibling, my older brother. He's 3.5 years older than me. He hasn't spoken to me since I transitioned.
That's sad.
Sad.
But apart from that, everyone's been wonderful.
That's
Yeah.
sadder for him than it is for you because he's missing out.
It's his loss, 100%.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's been a struggle for me because we were so close. My brother and I were very close. You know, I've spent many sessions with my psych talking about my brother.
Yeah.
But I've pretty much put him behind me now.
Yeah.
Very rarely think of him or bring him up, even though I just did. But
But we're talking about your life
It's pivotal
story right
to
now.
your journey. Yeah.
That's right. And he was a major part of my life because my mum and dad were divorced when I was very, very young. My brother, being 3.5 years older than me, pretty much helped raise me. You know, he would do the cooking while mum was at work and I'd do the dishes. It was really fun. He'd do the cooking, but I'd do a lot of the cleaning and ironing even and stuff as a young kid. I'd do all the women's work, which I loved.
Yeah. Which actually feeds into
I was
our
going to
next
say, this
question.
is the perfect segue.
Because we spoke a little bit about how you knew from a very young age.
4 years old, to be exact, was the word.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But do you look back at your childhood now and see other signs that hint towards your trans journey? Like you just said, you liked the homemaking side of things, which predominantly was gendered towards women. But is there anything else that you look back and go, oh, that's a light bulb. Oh, that makes sense.
I just knew inside that I was a girl.
Yeah.
It's not even that I thought I was. I just knew it.
Yeah.
I just didn't know the terminology. So, and I used to get into mum's stuff, dresses and stuff when I could. Back then, kids were left home alone a lot.
Yeah.
Not like today.
The generation that raised themselves.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, I'm Gen X.
Yeah.
So we pretty much did raise ourselves. I was home alone a lot. Mum, like I said, she was a single mum. I had some great moments with her. So every second Friday, my brother would be at Sea Scouts.
Mm-hmm.
And one Friday night, she came home from work, and these were brand new then, but she had one of those, they still have them, those hair curlers that like a barrel,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
and you push it, the steam comes out.
Mhm.
So she bought one of them, and I always wanted long hair because I just felt like a girl. I
Yeah.
wanted long hair.
Yeah.
My mum would literally bring me kicking and screaming to the hairdressers at times and say, "You look like a girl." I'd be like, "Okay."
You're like, that's what I
wanted.
Exactly.
You're like, I'm kicking goals here, Mum, leave me alone.
So she brought this hair curler home and she wanted to try it out. So she said, "Do you mind if I curl your hair?" I'm like, "Okay." So she curled my hair, and then next time she's painting my nails and stuff, like, because she always
Aw.
wanted a daughter.
Aw.
But she never pushed that on me at all. She always asked and stuff. But I was like, yeah, okay, I love it. She always, had a bit of a girly side, but we just sort of kept that between us.
Yeah.
Different era again.
Yeah.
I mean, if I grew up in today's era, the most unfortunate thing is I wouldn't have my kids because I would have gone on hormone blockers
Yeah.
and transitioned at a much younger age because that's who I am.
Yeah.
If I could find the old time machine, I would actually transition after I had my kids.
Yeah.
Because they're my world, they're my life.
That's such a beautiful sentiment.
But I just would have transitioned a bit earlier than what I did.
Yeah.
I still would have waited until they were born.
Yeah.
So
I think it's also hard, like you said, that you didn't have the terminology. So even though you knew in your heart of hearts that you were a girl, you couldn't go out and speak to medical professionals or anything like that to start that journey for you.
Start that conversation for you.
not at all. I said there was nothing.
Yeah.
Absolutely nothing. Nothing in the media or anything about it. I said there was no social media then.
Mm.
There was just nothing.
Yeah.
And that's why I thought I was the only one for a long time. I'm like, why do I feel this way? This isn't right.
Like you said, there was no representation really there, and especially as trans representation, it's only sort of just beginning to make waves now on television. But other than, I guess, the porn side of representation or the fetishism? I can't even say the word.
Well, the fact that trans people were fetishized? Yeah.
Yeah. And they were. That's the thing. Like,
Yeah.
I would read these pornographic novels, and that was the weird part too, because they were always, and they were explicit, but they were trans women or cross-dressers or whatever with men, and I was never attracted to men.
Yeah. And is that the first time that you've really noticed that you've seen that trans representation, like in the pornographic novels or films? Or...
Well, that was,
Yeah.
I mean, like, it's a completely different world now, thank God.
Yeah.
And I suppose that makes it a taboo subject too, right? Because sex for a lot of people is so taboo to talk about. And then you're adding that other layer of trans people in a pornographic sense. It's just taboo on top of taboo, isn't it? And then you go, oh my God, I'm not allowed to talk about this. It's not for me. Like, I can't do it.
Jess and I actually did a recent episode on influential trans people within history. And quite a lot of them have spoken about the stories of they could accept trans people as performers, but they couldn't accept them outside.
Yeah, as real people.
As real people.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fetishize them up as entertainers.
Yeah.
And just couldn't accept them as being everyday women.
Yeah.
Or men.
Yeah. It was strange because that's when I first realised I'm not the only one. But then I'm like, well, I'm meant to like men, but I don't.
Yeah.
You know, like I was just a teenager then. So that was weird too. I'm like, on one hand, I'm like, yay, I'm not the only one. On the other hand, I'm like, boo, men are yucky, ooh.
You're going through multiple different like feelings and thoughts.
I felt like I should have a boyfriend, but I didn't want one.
Yeah.
I was happy with my girlfriends. So it was weird. And obviously more once the internet came out, that's when I learnt more. But again, like I said, then I knew what I was, but I didn't want to risk losing my kids or my wife at the time.
Yeah.
I ended up splitting up with my wife anyway, but that happens.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that we do lose people close to us that we don't necessarily want to lose in our coming out journeys in that way. Hopefully it invites other good and warm people to us.
Yeah, well, you get new family.
That's what it is. You
which
get
is
the
good.
chosen family.
Yeah.
My biggest regret is that Mum never got to meet the real me.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We had our girly moments and stuff, but that was more just play.
Yeah.
She never got to meet the real me. She passed away in 2003 of cancer, and I didn't transition till 2017. I began hormones, so it was a long time after it. So that was always my biggest regret. Her sister, my only joy, she got to meet me a few times. She loved me.
Yeah. Oh, that's
she was
amazing.
incredible. And that's what got me, because obviously she's a much older generation. She's passed away too now, but she would get excited. I'd be coming to visit and she'd be telling the nursing home staff, because they'd tell me, oh, my niece is coming to visit me, used to be my nephew, but now she's my niece Rebecca, she'd be all excited.
So cute.
I love that for you.
Yeah, and it was so heartwarming. And she'd comment on my Facebook posts and stuff, and even comment on some of the dresses I'd be wearing. She'd have a go at me. She's like, that dress is a bit short, Rebecca, Like,
oh, good on her.
Good on her. Yeah, that's beautiful.
I love a bantery old soul.
Yeah, no, she was great.
Do you feel like those little moments that you had with your mum where you feel like you had those girly moments, do you feel like on a spiritual level kind of saw you in those moments?
I'd like to think so.
Yeah.
I don't really know,
Yeah.
Never really discussed it. So I'd like to think so.
Yeah.
I think she knew deep down inside.
Yeah.
Like everyone that knows me and knew my mum have gone, your mum would be very proud of you and she'd accept you,
Oh, that's beautiful.
And I know that. She was a beautiful woman. She would definitely accept me and she loved me unconditionally.
Yeah.
And she probably would have given my brother a clip across the ear for being such a dick.
Yeah.
Probably.
I'll do it. Bring him here. Let's stay on representation for a second, because obviously we talked about the fact that there was hardly anything and then you found them in pornographic novels and that was the only space. But what about now? Like, what do you find is good representation for trans kids and yourself now? Have you found there's a media or a specific film or series that has just done the community justice?
And on the end of Jess's thing, do you feel like you have become trans representation for others as well?
Yeah.
Hey, remind me the ending part. So, look, there's definitely a lot better trans representation now. I love the series Pose.
Oh, yeah, we did it.
Oh, that's how you say it.
Pose, yeah.
What did I call it?
Pose.
Pose? Pose? I think I called it Pose.
Are you French or something?
I don't know.
Pose.
She wishes.
Pose. No, I don't.
Yeah, I love that. That was just an incredible series. There's some good little YouTube short stories ones. There's one called Her Story on YouTube.
Okay.
I think it's 1 or 2 seasons long and they're only like 10-minute episodes.
Oh, that's cool.
But I implore anybody to look up Her Story.
Quick, put it in the notes.
Yeah, well.
It's beautiful. And there's the best thing too, like with Pose, it's got actual trans actresses.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So important.
Yeah, so I love that. There's positive and there's negative out there. Obviously, it's a very negative time for us at the moment because it's just a political nightmare.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
We are enemy number one and we feel it. With what's just happened in the UK as well, I know quite a few of my trans sisters that are really, really struggling.
It's terrible.
And I can't stress how much some of them are struggling. Like I've seen, people saying, I think I just need to end it, that sort of thing. Like it's been really bad.
It's awful.
I'm a lot stronger than I used to be. I've handled it pretty well with what's going on with Trump and the UK as well.
Yeah.
I did say to my son, like, if Dutton gets in, I don't know what I'll do.
Yeah, it's going to be hard for a lot of us queries.
The Australian LGBT landscape could change dramatically under him.
Which is terrifying.
It is terrifying. For a lot of us, it's very terrifying, and not just trans people.
No, for everyone under that.
Well, they see the LGBT umbrella as easy targets in society. And we shouldn't be. We should be a firm brick wall like anyone else.
Yes, definitely.
Anyway, and the political talk.
Yeah, moving on from that. The last part of the question that I was told to remind you about is, do you feel like you've been trans representation for anyone?
I know I have. I've helped quite a few trans women transition.
Wow.
That's beautiful.
Through the early stages. I don't do it to be that person. I just do it, I suppose, because I can.
Yeah.
and I like to be helpful. So I never set out to be a trans ally or anything like that, but I do a lot. I pretty much run the Gold Coast Transgender and Non-Binary Facebook group here.
Oh, that's incredible.
As well as other groups. I put on like monthly barbecues or picnics, other events. I've done Trans Central just the other month.
Oh, those things are so important.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so I do a lot for the community, but it's just as a career, a long career in DJing, I've been able to do events and stuff. So it's just a skill set that I have that I've decided to put to good use for the trans community.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah, so look, I have become a bit of an ally. I've been up for Trans Ally of the Year a few times.
That's pretty cool.
That's awesome.
At the Trans Community Awards. I haven't won it yet.
But this year could be your year.
It's
you never know.
It's coming. But as you said, it's not about winning the award, is it? It's just knowing that you have this skill set to be able to help others, and you're doing that.
Being nominated is great. I've been nominated for DJ of the Year a few times at Queen's Ball Awards and haven't won it yet. So, but just being nominated is nice. Like people are recognising you.
The time is coming.
You know, never know. I might win one.
That's it.
If I did get nominated for DJ of the Year this year at Queen's Ball Awards, it'd probably be my last chance because I'm retiring from DJing in October.
Oh my goodness.
Well, let's talk about that.
I was going to say that kind of fits into this next question. So we were just touching on the fact that you've DJed for a long time now.
Long time.
And we met at Logan Pride as you were DJing. So where did music and the DJ journey start for you, I guess?
As much as I knew I was a girl all along.
You knew you were a DJ all along.
I had this passion for music. I remember when I was really little, my mum ended up giving me some money to buy my own records because I kept on playing hers and wrecking them.
Oh, no.
And showing my age, my first single was a Roy Orbison single, Only the Lonely.
Oh, love
my
that
first
song.
album was the Beatles' Greatest Hits Volume 1, and then I bought an Elvis Presley album, Aloha from Hawaii.
Wow.
A live album. So that were my first records. But I was always buying records. So when I did start DJing when I was 14, nobody that knew me was surprised.
Wow. You started DJing at 14. That's cool.
They're like, of course. And how I came into that, my home life wasn't that great with my stepdad. He was a bit of an asshole. So I didn't want to be home. And as I said, I've got a martial arts background. So I was doing karate almost pretty much 4 nights a week when I could.
Wow.
And one of my karate instructors owned a mobile disco. He owned a tiling business and taught karate and learnt karate himself. And there was something else as well. Like he was never home.
Yeah.
Every Friday and Saturday night, he basically had a mobile disco on, whether it was Blue Light Discos or 21st or whatever. So I started being a roadie for him.
That's how it starts. That's how it starts.
Yeah. And he paid me to be a roadie for him. And within a couple of gigs, he's like, oh, you could play the next record, you know? And
wow. Yeah.
He goes, get on the mic. He's like, this is Michael Jackson. Shy and nervous.
You would have no clue now.
Yeah, that's how I started DJing. And then his wife cracked him because he was never home. She said he had to give up something. So he decided to sell the mobile disco business.
Did you buy it?
He wanted me to buy it, but I was 15.
Yeah, right.
And it was a lot of money.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I can't buy it. But my brother, he was working for ANZ Bank, and I talked him into buying it because I saw the money that was coming in.
Wow.
And I explained, said, you know about the loans and stuff. You work at a bank. I said, this is the money that's coming in. He's got the books, you know. So, yeah, he got a loan. He bought the mobile disco.
Wow.
So thanks to him, I continued DJing.
That's pretty cool.
He learned to DJ as well. He was never as good as me. It's the only thing he ever admitted that he was not as good at as me. Everything else he was always better. He pretty much was too, though. Like he's better at sports and this and everything like.
But we each have our own passions. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's how I started DJing. And then when I was 20, it was in 1988, and I DJed already like 6 years for mobile discos. I saw an ad for a DJ wanted, and I was living in Ballarat in Victoria then. So I rang up the number and I said, oh, look, I don't want to be rude. I said, but is this for a nightclub or for a mobile disco? Because I've done my years as mobile disco. I'm looking for club work. There was a lady on the phone. I didn't know them, but it was the wife of the head DJ at this club. And she goes, no, it's a canopy club. I'm like, oh, cool, great. So I was sent for an audition.
Wow.
Like an interview, actually.
Like Australian Idol for DJ.
So this is in January in Ballarat. It was one of those days it was like 40 degrees. It was stinking hot. I was the only one that rolled up in a button-up shirt and suit pants. Like I dressed nicely for this interview. Everyone else rolled up in T-shirt and shorts and thongs.
Yeah.
And they knew the guy, the head DJ, and I'm like, oh, I've got no hope here. But anyway, there's about 8 of us, I think, that went for the job. And out of those 8, while he was talking to somebody, one other would play some music in the background, do some mixing. And then at the end of that, we all got interviewed, all had a shot on the decks, and he gave 3 of us a free pass to get in that night in this club, which was massive, to DJ that night.
Wow.
Straight our stuff in the club. So the first guy had his first go and lasted about 3 songs, if that.
Wow.
He cleared the dance floor. They're like, no worries. And then they got the next guy on a bit after that. And there's 2 rooms, the front room and the back room. So this is all happening in the front room. The job was for the back room, though.
Yeah.
It was the back room DJ that was leaving. The front room DJ was the head DJ. So next guy come up, same thing, about maybe 4 or 5 songs, cleared the dance floor. So the head DJ had to get the crowd back again. And then he said to me, goes, look, I'm not saying you're going to lose the crowd, but the job's for out there. I need to listen to you, but I'm just going to run back and forth. Can you do your set out in the back room? And the DJ that was leaving was blind drunk.
Oh, shit.
Last
because it was his
night.
last night.
Yeah, right.
He went out with a bang.
I kicked ass out there like I did. I just blew it away. I was in my element and absolutely smashed it. And instead of doing like 15 minutes or half an hour, I did the rest of the night.
Oh, my gosh. So you got that
like,
job.
can you keep it going? You're killing it. Yeah.
Talk about make a good impression.
Yeah.
Yeah, the manager came up at the nightclub at one stage. He goes, I guess you realise you've got the job. I'm like, yeah, I thought so.
Yeah, like, yeah, I'm still here.
You're like, I'll just invoice for tonight?
Yeah, that was my first nightclub and I'm still doing them.
That's awesome.
37 years later.
But you're going to retire soon.
Yeah, I found it weird because I actually thought by the time I hit 30, so 10 years, that would be it. I'd be out of the clubs. I'd be too old. They're going to want younger people to DJ. But I was good.
Yeah.
And I knew I was a good DJ.
But older people also know like the better songs and the better mixing.
Well, that was the thing. So I can still pull out bangers. People go, oh my God, I haven't done this forever.
Yeah, exactly. I would much rather go to a club with bangers than
experience over ageism, though.
Yeah.
Come on, that's amazing.
Yeah, that too.
So yeah, I kept on going and getting heaps of work and stuff. And then I thought my DJ career would be over when I transitioned. I'd moved to the Gold Coast, so I wasn't working in any clubs. And I started working for a mobile disco company here on the Gold Coast. I won't name them, but I very quickly became his number 1 DJ. He got me for his main gigs and stuff. But then there came a time where I said, look, and he was not transphobic either. He'd see me as Rebecca when I started transitioning. But whenever I worked for him, I would DJ as a boy. And it got harder and harder.
Yeah, as it would.
And then there's one day I just said, look, I can't DJ as a boy anymore. If you book me for a gig, whether it's a wedding, and I did a lot of weddings for him, I said, it'll be as Rebecca. And I didn't really get any more work from him then.
Yeah. His loss.
I understood it because it's his business.
Yeah.
And people are transphobic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And last thing he'd want is some mother of the bride complaining that they had some guy in a dress DJing their wedding.
Yeah.
And I understood that, as transphobic as that would be.
Yeah.
It was still his brand, his business. So I thought that was the end of my DJ career. What I never considered, and I can't believe I never considered, was the LGBT venues.
Yeah.
Soon I was DJing at Escape Club, then it changed its name to Rise, and then a drag queen booked me personally to DJ the Wickham one night for their event.
Oh, that's cool.
Because they'd heard me DJ, they wanted me, and then the Wickham heard me, like, where have you been? I'm like, I've been sending you emails.
Yeah, it's always the way, isn't
it?
You know, like, I've reached out, you guys have just never replied. I've been a resident DJ all my life. Like, I've gone from one club to another, but I've never got sacked as a DJ.
That's amazing.
That's cool.
I've had clubs closed down, but I never got sacked.
I don't have the stamina for DJing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've decided to bring it to an end. So it's not 100% retirement. I'll do trans events because I think it's important to have a trans DJ at a trans event. So once a month at the Wickham, they do trans takeover with Tall Jan and guests. So I'll still continue to do that. I'll still do private gigs like weddings, 21st, whatever. I've just scored a once a month gig for a women only disco.
Wow, that's so
awesome.
Cool.
So I'll still do that. But apart from that, like 95% of my work is my residencies at Harry Mary's that I do and the Wickham. So I'm giving them up, basically. I'll just be doing a few gigs here and there. So many people have said, why are you giving it up? You're still so good at it. You love it.
Yeah, that was my next question.
The thing is, I am 58 this year. I know I don't look it. I get told that all the time.
Yeah, you definitely don't.
But I feel it.
Yeah.
So, you know, I DJ at the Wickham till 1:30 in the morning sometimes, and then I drive back to Surfers Paradise. I'm not getting home till 2:30 around there.
Yeah, it's the late nights.
I've had an incredible DJ career, like incredible. But yeah, I think it's just time to finally hang up the headphones, which I'm wearing.
You are. Since you just spoke about potentially hanging up the headphones or keeping your little foot in the
door.
I was going to say foot in the door and finger in the pie. Where can our audiences find you playing before you hit the DJ retirement?
I'm at the Wickham a lot, and I do some gigs also at Harry Mary's. I've got a trans event at Harry Mary's on the 21st of June.
Oh, awesome.
Wow.
Well, what we'll do anyway is we'll put all of your social media tags in the show notes of the episode. So if anybody is interested, they can go and follow along with you and they'll see where you're at.
And if you can also please put all the groups that you run as well, because I know a lot of our listeners are trans as well, so they'd be keen to be a part of those groups.
Keen to connect with those groups, I think.
Oh my God, I run so many groups.
Oh, send them all.
Send them all.
Send them all.
I actually created the very first crossdresser/trans group in Australia on Facebook.
Wow.
That's so cool.
I think Facebook might have been a year old, if that.
Wow.
I thought back then I was a crossdresser, like I didn't really know the terminology. So I created a group called Australian Crossdressers, and I've since changed it to Australian Crossdress and Transgender Support Group or something like that is. But anyway, when I created it because there was no other Australian one.
Yeah.
They were all American or British. And I thought, God, there's not one in Australia for people to connect to, so I made it.
Wow. That's so
perfect.
special.
And it's still going. But yeah, I do the Gold Coast one. There's the Southeast Queensland one as well. Trans Coast, I help run that as well with my trans sister Dylan. There's lots of groups that I help run or I run myself.
Just send them all our way so we can put them in the show notes.
Put them in the show notes so people can connect if they want to connect, and that would be good for a lot of our listeners, I feel. As we're heading towards the end of the interview, we have a couple of questions that we've been ending on. One question that I would love to ask you, which I didn't send you pre-interview, is what would you like to tell the world about your trans journey that they might not understand? Like, what's a big myth about a trans journey? We have all these people that go, oh, I don't understand trans people and I don't understand this. And Lauren and I's biggest reply is, well, why would you? You aren't trans.
You don't need to understand. You just need respect.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that's sort of what I was going to say. Okay, so I use this as an example. I'm a trans woman. So I grew up and was raised very much as a boy, but I knew I was a girl.
Yeah.
So for me, gender is very, very strong in me because raised as one, but I knew I was the other. And I honestly, and I hope I don't get attacked for this, I don't understand non-binary because gender's so strong with me. And the way I look at it is like, well, I know people won't understand transgender because they're cisgender.
Yeah.
But I don't understand non-binary, but I accept it. I believe them.
That's exactly it.
And I'm respectful about it. So that's all I want the cis people that don't understand it. Just accept it. You don't have to understand it. Just be nice and accept it.
Exactly.
If I get misgendered, which I do over the phone a bit sometimes, don't get it very often these days in public, but if I do, I'll correct them nicely. If they continue with it and I can see that it's like deliberate, then I get nasty.
Yeah, obviously.
Well, that's fair.
That's blatant disrespect, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. But I give them a few goes at it too. So I work in retail. There's one guy that used to come in all the time. He'd always say, thank you, sir. And I'd correct him. And then one time I said, because I work at the Den and we've got a men's cruise lounge attached.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I sell dildos.
Nice.
What better job?
I know it's great for a trans woman. But anyway, this guy used to come in a lot. And then I said to him one day, I said, you call me sir again. I've told you enough times. I'm just going to ban you for a month first time. And he's like, oh, I'm so sorry. Like he never seemed malicious, but I'd had enough.
Yeah.
And it was a lot of times before I even did that.
Well, that's a fair enough, yeah.
Yeah.
Ever since then, he's always been Miss.
Oh, well, he's learned his lesson. Isn't that nice?
That's right. I had to threaten to ban him to do it, but anyway.
Yeah. Sometimes I feel like people start a banter which they think is funny and then it's just the joke doesn't land. And so they keep trying to land the joke and you're like,
No.
just stop.
Now you've been rude.
Yeah. It's not
That's
landing.
right.
It's
Exactly.
not landing.
Well, the last question that we've been asking all our guests this year, I guess it's become our special question
It
for
has been.
2025. And that question is, do you like being queer?
Ooh,
It's a loaded question.
that's a good one.
It is a good one.
It is. Okay, so I do and I don't. I have to explain both reasons.
Please do.
Okay, I'll start with why I don't, because my life would be so much more simple if I was cisgender, whether that was male or female. I'd rather just be, I would have born cisgender female. So life would have just been simpler.
Yeah.
So that's why I don't, but I do because I fucking adore this community.
Yeah.
The love that's in this community, the acceptance. There's bitchy queens. I don't just mean drag queens. I mean some gay men and stuff.
Oh,
like
yeah,
there's some
we
bitchy
knew.
queens out there. But overall, it's such a loving and caring and warm and welcoming community. To be part of it is a privilege.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, part of me wishes I wasn't part of the community. I think overall, I'm actually glad I am.
Yeah.
Because I'm with my people. You know, I've DJ'd main stage at Big Gay Day. It's just incredible the love that I've got from that and stuff.
Yeah.
And Queen's Ball Awards, which are coming up, it's one of the most incredible events. I love the Queen's Ball Awards. It's so much glitz and glamour, but the love that's in the air, you can feel it.
Yeah.
So I got a scoop for you. Speaking of Queen's Ball, it hasn't been announced yet. I'm DJing Queen's Ball Awards again this year. I think it'll be my third time DJing it.
That's exciting.
I hope that we can go.
Me too. We haven't been to a Queen's Ball yet.
I low-key hope
Oh,
we
you
get
haven't been?
nominated.
No, we
I
haven't
have been before
Oh,
because
I haven't.
my band back in the day played at a Queen's Ball Awards. But
Did they?
yeah, but we haven't gone.
No.
I've never been as a guest.
I think the next round of tickets go on sale on the 19th of May.
Ooh.
Yeah,
that's
right.
soon. That's
Yeah,
right.
that
We'll
is
have a
soon.
look.
But they're like $161, I think. So
Yeah, it's pretty expensive.
they're not cheap. But with that, I think it's a 2-course meal you get and a 4-hour drink package. You know, like it. But it's such an incredible night.
Might have to get your mum to drop us off.
Yes, definitely. Don't drive.
Yes, no.
Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Beck, for joining us on the pod. It's been a great
Thank you.
time.
Yeah, it's been so much fun.
Well, we hope that everybody has had an absolutely fabulous time listening to Beck's journey.
DJ Beksis
And everything that she has shared with us throughout her queer experience. And it's always such an amazing thing to have someone let you behind the curtain.
It sure is. And, you know, I'm sure it won't be like the first or last time that we'll be in the same event at the same time.
So, you know, maybe we might get those Queen's Ball Award tickets.
Things going on. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Beck, for joining us.
Thank
it has
you.
been a lovely
Pleasure.
time. And I suppose until next week.
I guess you better remember to.
Stay gay, motherfuckers!
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Beck.
No, thank you. It was wonderful.
I'm talking about, you're talking about, we're talking about just gay stuff.
Thanks for joining us on another episode of Just Gay Stuff. Make sure to follow us at Just Gay Stuff Podcast on all your socials and write to us with your stories at justgaystuffpodcast@gmail.com.